No questions? Okay, let me share my screen. Where's the... Let me know once you see the screen.
We do.
Yes, good. Okay, so any questions about the framework? I think I'm actually updating the test, and then I will send out. I'll share it with you guys once I have it cleared. So let's talk about a little bit about project. When you ask about, okay, tell me about your project, like first thing, you don't have to explain everything what you're doing in your current project, but you have to have like clear, like all these points, bullet points right now you see. I would definitely suggest to be prepared for those. I did share the document with, I think it was like, I'm not sure if I did share with you guys PDF, but there is a document that you guys can update it with all the details of my project application, the company names, all the details, right? So this is part of that. You just have to, this is the bullet points that I would like to go over today with you all. So you kind of have a clear picture when you're answering the questions. Especially, please introduce yourself, right? One of them, I think, because I do hear like most of you guys like just give short answer. That's good. Yeah, we are giving a short answer, but during introduction, I would suggest you guys not only introduce yourself, like what are you been doing and who are you, but also describe of what are you up to date, what have you been done, what you have experience with, what you would like to see from the company, what do you have experience working with, what kind of tools. So describe that all in very short, concise, very nice introduction, so you don't have to, and then interviewer will be asking more questions related to that. Basically, when you're giving an introduction, you need to give an overview of your resume, meaning that what domains you did work first and how many years experience you have, especially what kind of tools you did use. Any questions? Okay. What kind of tools you did use, and as well as just a little bit of overview what you are looking in your next project. In that way, that will be more kind of open ending, and then interviewer can ask more questions. Because if you do give a short answer, I will be like, where to start asking? Like, I might be asking like tons of different things. And if you're giving introduction and having kind of broader, but at the same time you are kind of giving an borderline that interviewer should not go over. So let's go on that. First thing is, tell me about yourself or introduce yourself, right? Before going to this my project. What I would definitely suggest you guys to, first thing, let me give you guys an example of what I would say, and then you guys can kind of maybe can kind of have an idea of how you should answer. Okay. So can you please introduce yourself and like, please introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background about yourself. First of all, I would say, first of all, I really appreciate your time and thank you for considering my resume. And I really appreciate for this opportunity actually joining you today. As it shows in my resume, I've been working in the IT industry for about 4 or 5 years, and I've gained experience from working in healthcare, financial, and banking domains. I did actually I have strong understanding on software development and software development testing life cycles, as well as um, life cycles. I started as a manual tester, and eventually I moved to automation within the same company. Um, and I can say I'm a full stack automation engineer since it's being said. I have experience working with UI, front end, and back end testing using the Java programming language. In my current project, I perform UI with Selenium and Selenium WebDriver and API testing with Rest Assured and Postman. And for the backend, I am using MySQL. For the tools, I have working experience with Cucumber, Maven, TestNG, Jira, and Jenkins. As a personal description, I'm a person who tries to learn something new every day, and I'm a very fast learner, detail-oriented person, which is why I think which helps me to adjust to new environment very quickly. I want to improve my skills in as a tech grows every day, and um, I want to improve my skills in tech side, so which is why I'm looking for new challenges. Currently, my contract is ending, so I started looking for a new opportunity, and I faced your company. I read your job description and company, which was very impressive. And you guys use such a tool that I am actually learning at this moment on my free time, and I would love to experience that in real work environment. Um, so this is a little bit short about me, and please, if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer. That's it. But I think this is kind of overview of how you guys should answer. Definitely, my answer will be a little bit different as of now because I do use a little different tool, but I did adjust it as much as I can to yours. So, any questions on your introduction? It's like, please introduce yourself. It is the question for that. Just go over of what do you have. Uh, First is years of experience. When you ask first is years of experience and what kind of domains you have experience on. Should I make a note on this?
Yes, please.
Okay, introduce yourself. So first thing is, let me do it this way. Years of experience, domains you worked, and you also want to include like, how did you switch from manual to automation? And then you can give a little bit of background about your current project if you want to. Little background, like I'm working with Bank of America, and I'm working on a team where our team specialize on the Erica or something. Just a little bit about your current and what else? What kind of testing you perform? And as well as what kind of are you familiar with? As well as in each tools you can, if you want to, you can describe it as I did, but if you don't, you really don't have to. I'm familiar with, you can just explain that I do have experience working with API, UI, and database testing. That's it. You don't have to explain all the tools, but it's all up to you how you want to go. and in my a little bit about your current project and what is your role actually here. This all should be like in a very one letter, one sentence for each of this, and then just should be concise. So it shouldn't take more than 3 minutes while you're talking, but it should give you like give the interview a very high level of who are you, what are you up to, and as well as a little bit of personal description. Like I'm a cook learner and I'm looking for this kind of opportunity, or I actually started learning this AWS, or I don't know, looking for something and you're interested on it, like you can just come up with it. What else? And why you are planning, why you choose this company. And end it with open question at the end, like if you have any questions, please, I'm more than happy to answer. Always say that. Okay. Any questions on that, introducing yourself?
I have a question here.
Yes.
So about my current project, so will they ask for the name or something
No,
like this, like deeper?
no, you don't have to discuss. No.
No. Will
Even
they
if they
ask?
ask you, you don't have to answer. No, you don't have to answer, because you can describe it about your project. We will go after this introducing yourself. You will go to my project and then I will discuss it. But you really don't have to go too deep about your project. You should just describe in 1 or 2 sentences what are you doing and what kind of team are you working at. That's it. No deep, no going too deep. But in your background, for yourself to be confident, I would definitely like have it draw the schema of your project, what it does, and then what kind of project are you working on. So whenever you're talking, you can kind of visualize it. That will help you. But when they ask you, you really don't have to answer all the like details. You should not be answering, because whenever if they ask you something that is too deep, you can say, I'm sorry, I did sign NDA. It's a non-disclosure agreement, and I cannot disclose more than this. This is in a very high level. I can tell you this, but that's it. You
Okay, thank you.
cannot tell. Okay.
Excuse me, Rita, you
Yes.
mentioned also that it's pretty great opportunity when they ask you about framework during the phone call. What about like, I don't know, Zoom? You have to show something like on file?
No, you don't have to show anything. They will be asking just, would you mind describing what kind of framework? Especially this question will be asked by Indian people, Indian technical recruiters, and as well as so there will be multi-level of interviews, right? We'll come to this in next one, but there will be different type of interviewers. One will be from recruiter, the managers of the recruitment team will be giving you an interview in tech side, and the second one they will be hiring a third-party company to hire an employee to a tech company, such as big ones, like banking or anything. They will be hiring like third-party companies, and you have to go over the technical side with them, not directly with the company. So depending on what kind of level of interview will be, especially there will be interviews, someone will be taking interview who will be in India, or like someone from I don't know, Asia, Europe, or somewhere, but not from the US. And the hour will be different from different states. It will be definitely will be like all around the world. So you will be asked very different questions, and some of the questions will be very kind of simple in your case, but at the same time, while asking the simple questions, they want to come to this point where they want to find like your weakness, because while asking that unexpected simple questions, they will figure out like what kind of response, or how do you react to that. So but yeah, you don't have to share anything on the screen. unless they ask you like, would you mind to, they might be sharing a screen and they might be asking you, okay, can you like simply create a framework, and where you just have to create the folders, which I did actually for Morningstar. I had to create kind of framework. They gave us, what was it? It was VS Code, I think. They opened the VS Code and they asked us, okay, create a framework here. So we had to create a framework when I went to face to face. So, which is
You
why
mean like environments, packages, helper
everything,
class,
everything.
something like that?
Yes,
Oh, everything.
everything. So it will be just a VS Code, meaning that Sublime. It will be similar to Sublime, and then they will be just asking you, okay, please structure your framework for UI side, and then you have to kind of structure everything. So structure meaning that you have a test package and main package, right? Under test package, what it needs to go, under resources, under which level the resources needs to go, on the main or on the, everything needs to be followed by proper way so you can explain it better. And I had to explain after I finish it. I did it actually twice for the face-to-faces. So which is why actually I think this is important to know your framework. I think which is why I'm spending about an hour for this. But is this clear about introduce yourself?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Any
Yeah.
questions?
How many times they gave you to create the structure of your framework?
So actually for one team, I was asked Python and Selenium framework, but they gave me about a week, they gave me a week in order to, but they did not only framework, but I had to automate one couple different scenarios. It was with Python and Selenium, but they will give you a specific version that you need to use, not to go over, as well as after you build it. When I went to face, I had to explain why I did it and how I did it, like everything, all the details. For the Morningstar, they gave us an hour, I think, but it wasn't only creating a structuring framework, but after that, I had to come up with a solution. There was two different scenarios that I need to kind of solve. So after I solve it, I have to framework, and then I have to solve that and write the test scenarios, and basically the same feature file, you write the test scripts, and then what do you do, like all the coding, where do you write coding, and how do you integrate with API, like all this stuff. So it was an hour, but not only structure, but also two scenarios.
Can we also practice to write this structure or?
Yeah, you can do it yourself, right? Easily.
Okay.
You can do it. Definitely. It will help you. While you're writing it, you will clarify most of the things. So introducing yourself, please, this is the introducing yourself. Just follow this kind of, you really don't have to follow this exactly, but if you just add it, at least like, a couple of this while introducing, because you get ready, take a couple videos of you, but then when you will be in real interview, you will definitely forget some points and it will be more shorter. So, which is why I would suggest just to have a kind of written responses for all your answers, and then just follow them if you're on the phone call, which will be much easier in the beginning, and then you'll be getting better over the time. Okay, in the second, after you introducing, I think they will be asked, okay, could you please describe your project, and could you please describe your role, what are you doing in your current project, right? How you have to respond to that. So in your current project, it's just an overview, like you really don't have to go over on describing all what you're doing. You can just say like, currently I'm working with Bank of America, and I'm working on an application in which our team actually focused on Erica functionality. So my role is I'm a QA automation. My role is maintaining the automation framework, writing the unit, writing the test cases, manually verify sometimes, running smoke tests, regression, this. As I mentioned, you don't have to go over one sentence about your current project. Okay. So is this clear?
Yes.
Guys, okay. Sentence. And move to my role actually here. Okay. So after describing your project and just right away move to your role. What do you do? What is your responsibility? And I think that should be clear about your responsibility. What do you do, right? Your responsibility actually should not be, I would suggest you guys to use very clear response to this. Because I think it should be like, you are the automation engineer, right? What is your responsibility? Reading requirements? Follow this. Always add the requirements because that is the main point of testing. Requirements, writing automation script, and running smoke test, running or executing regression, and as well as maintaining automation framework. This should be your answer, nothing extra. Clear? Right? After that, you definitely want to talk about your dev tool stack, what exactly you know. As an introduction, I was describing like what kind of tools you know. Definitely you want to include everything what you know, not only the ones that we write here. This is only for your framework, but you know, you will be learning about Jenkins. You'll be probably on the side, you can learn about JMeter, you can learn about Docker containerizing, and as well as other what else tools. There are like scripting, like maybe other scripting languages, maybe you know shell commands, maybe you know Unix. Please write everything, whatever you know. Describe it. Okay, all tools.
I have a question
Yes.
about the responsibilities. Can we
Yes.
open like when you're searching for the job, they have like their own responsibilities. Can we point out some responsibilities before and like mention it in the interview that
Definitely. You should. Definitely you have to, because you want to match for the job description, right? When you're applying for a job, it is why it is one of the points, which is why I was telling you guys, read the description very clearly, and not only mention it during interview, but if you adjust your resume to that, it will be great, because you're matching to the job position, and hiring manager will love it because, okay, this is exactly what we were looking for, right?
yeah,
So
what if like kind of they gonna say like I don't need the introduction like that way because I have everything about it in the resume. So like what you gonna do in that way?
nobody will disrupt you with your introduction.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, no one. That will be even better. But if they do it, then interview is not gonna go through well, definitely. What I was talking about. Okay, dev tool stacks, UI and middleware, and REST API. So yes, all tools what you know, not only for UI is separately, for API is separately, and for DB database is separately, as well as CI/CD tools. CI/CD and plus I think AWS. I think you guys will be learning about a little bit about AWS, maybe if I'm not wrong. Because I do see the calendar for the soft skill and there is an AWS question. So I'm gonna check with Oscar again, but I will double check with actually about this AWS. But I think you should have some idea on this. And web services, right, as well. Automation tool, okay, middleware and regression and smoke test. So definitely you want to know. This is basically my project, but this is the mandatory things that you want to be prepared while I'm going through, because I'm just going through again of this thing. Maybe you guys already know, maybe you guys already prepared for everything. I'm just going over because you guys need to be ready for all these points before going to the market again. Is there any questions, or do you guys think I should stop because you guys think, you know, we already know all this and you really don't have to spend time and maybe we can just do more interview things? If you want to do that, please let me know now.
No,
Okay.
it's very useful what
Okay.
you're giving now.
Okay, perfect then. And tools, what you know, as well as what else I want to note is automation tools, right? It's not a CI/CD. It will be Jenkins and AWS. Just for the reporting, I think you guys need to know some. I'm not sure if you guys want to. Let's scratch it out for now, but I will definitely. I'll check it first and then add it. Regression and smoke tests. Definitely you want to know with this one, because regression and smoke tests. I'm asking you guys, but definitely right now market might be different. But let me do it this way. For the regression API and regression UI, right? As well as there is a smoke API and smoke UI. But I'm not sure if you want to guys add DB, database testing. If anyone wants to add it, and then it will be more like end-to-end testing. As well as I'll be adding a performance a little bit later on. But if you guys want to add DB testing, be ready on how do you integrate this with your framework and how do you test the database. But this will be, I think, next week. I think you're learning a lot about MySQL. So for DB testing, I think this will be more clear starting next week, okay? Regression API. I would suggest you guys for the regression API, based on what I've calculation, I'm gonna give you kind of example. So please calculate it based on that. For UI and for Smoke API. So Smoke API, let's say 1 hour usually will be running about 37 to 40 test cases, 35 to 40 test cases actually. Cases in Jenkins, okay? Please calculate it when based on your response. I'm just giving you a sample of calculation, okay? Here. For the Smoke API is very, very quick. So 120, 110 maybe, let's say 120 maybe smoke test. If you want to, but it can definitely degree. You can make it less, make it higher, it all up to you. 100 smoke, 100, God, 100 tests. It will be about, I did run about 15 minutes and then this, okay, let's do it 15 to max 20 minutes, depending on how your tests are written, depending on how many time iteration will go, how many time it needs to, basically one test can be written like 1 page long, right? And it depends on the test as well, but definitely it will be 120 tests should run maximum 100, max 20 minutes in Jenkins, okay? So based on that, please calculate on your regression, on your numbers. This is kind of sample, and on those numbers, you can come up with how many regression test cases you want to write and how many minutes that needs to have. So regression and smoke test. Let me, sorry. What was it? After that, it's a project system design. Project system design, I wanted to show you guys, do you remember we guys went over this? So I wanted to show you, this is just for yourself. On your free time, I would definitely write, like have a schema of your, like visualize your current project. What are you doing and how it works? Basically, just draw yourself for yourself, because this is how it helped me. I did wrote multiple times, like scratching over and doing it. And in one face-to-face, when I went to one of the Chicago office, I was actually asked to draw the schema of how our APIs interact with database, how it works. It was asked, and I had to draw it in the whiteboard. So I think this will also have you confident for yourself, plus as well as kind of having a idea of working while you're talking. You already have an image on your face, like head. You are describing what you already know. So this will help you. I would definitely suggest you guys to draw it for yourself. Okay. As well as any questions until now, guys?
Why do they ask about API this
They
schema?
wanted to know. So this is actually a question for the architect, right? But they wanted to ask me because the interviewer people, actually it was 3 ladies, but one of them were very, very skilled API developer, and the other one was just a project was Scrum Master. I think she didn't know nothing about it. So what they wanted to know, they never had any QA in the company. They only had a lot of manual testers from outsources. And what they wanted to know, like, okay, so we want an API framework. When you join, let's say we want to create an API framework that is for this project. So how would you write it? And please just draw it for yourself, because I do not know anything about API and I want to understand it. That was the question. So draw it so I can understand it, how you will be testing it, and how you're doing in your current project. So I had to say, I'm not doing it in my project, but API itself works in this way. And then I had to draw it. So, there will be many different people who will be interviewing you. So one of them that might be asking you, because you are saying on the resume that you know API, and you need to know that as a tester, it is main responsibility to know how it interacts and the systems, how it interacts, because that is where you can catch the bug, and that's one of the main responsibilities of yours, which is why they will be asking you a question. Is that clear?
Yeah, kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. As well as, I think, let me do it this way. What else? Automation framework architecture that we went over today, right? I will be actually sharing with you guys this note, and after I will update this as well. It might be your automation framework, but if you want to say API as well, then in one framework, you have to decide either, I'm going to just note it here for you guys, because either you have to decide your framework API and UI is separate, or you have to say it is combined. Okay, that is one thing. I'm going to just put it in here, note here for you. As well as DB. please have clear picture on this framework as well, because that is very, very, very good, important.
Rita,
Yes.
question on that. When you say together or separate, do you mean in the same module?
Not the module. You have it module right now. So frameworks, how can be, when you'll be learning it, you'll be understanding it much better. But what it can be one framework end-to-end testing. Do you guys know what is end-to-end testing?
Not exactly.
Okay, so
Like whole application.
yes, from the start, from the UI side to the database side, whole floor that needs to be tested within one framework. So if that is, you want to that way, it will be great. That will be very, very nice. But either or, you want to have it separate frameworks, all individually, for UI separately, for API separately, for the backend separately. So is Dana, was that your answer? Just want to make sure is it clear?
I guess it'll be more clear when we cover API. For now, like
Yes.
we do have meetup and practice, like 2 different modules. I'm just wondering if that's what you mean.
No, it's not exactly what I mean. They need to be interactive. So future while when you're writing it, your test, it needs to be first, it needs to log in, it needs to send an API code, and then it needs to get the response and then go, or maybe if you want to include database, then it will be again, after sending the API code, it goes to the database and gets the data and validates the data and comes and back the response, and the response should be validated in the UI side. It should be whole in one scenario. And that is very, very complicated, challenging tests, which is why, and it is not easy to maintain that as a framework, which is why we decided in our team, no, we will never interact with API and UI together because that takes a lot of time. UI will take forever actually to execute, which is why it will be delaying API as well. So we decided to go with separate work, So it's all up to you. Once you finish all the database and API, then you can just basically have an idea how you want to respond. If you have experience working with end-to-end testing, like I mentioned, like whole scenario, it's great. You can discuss that. But if not, I would suggest you go with separate frameworks for each. Clear?
Thank you.
Good, perfect. And what else? Automation framework and last features your team worked, last 3 defects you have worked. This is more behavioral questions, but definitely have a clear answer for this. You really don't have to have 3 features, but at least 1 feature for each of this. I think that I don't know if I should like have 1. What else? Who does performance testing of your application and how it is done? Definitely will be asked. Most of the time, team actually tries to hire specifically performance tester for the team. And if you don't read the application in the description, it might say just a regular API tester, but during interview, you realize, oh, wait, the job description doesn't match with what they are requesting, what they need actually. So in that case, just be clear, performance testing, who does performance testing? Be clear on that, have a clear answer, who does it, and how it's done, and have you ever performed performance testing? Have an answer for that. Okay. God. What else? Any questions on this performance? I'm not sure if you guys ever watched the G meter, that one that I shared with you guys. I think I sent a video YouTube channel earlier, but he is actually very good. He can show you from the scratch, and it's very convenient. Actually, if you guys want to spend about 1 day and just learn G meter, it will be very, very easy.
Could you
G meter
remind,
itself.
please?
I did actually share it with you guys on the YouTube channel Raghav. He is the, I'm gonna share with you again, maybe here. He is I do follow him on LinkedIn as well, but his videos are very, very clear. It's very nice videos actually about Gmeter. It's not a lot, but if you want to just have an idea what is Gmeter, how it runs, and have like, you know, we have a performance tester like who like performs for whole company, and he actually maintains some of the projects for us. You can say that should be fine, but also, you know, it will be great if you just have an yes, I think Ramon, you just sent Raghav. Yes, he is the videos. You can watch his videos. So I think that will kind of help you to understand what is exactly Gmeter and how performance testing is done. And 10 sets of test data for the project. So this, you don't need a 10 sets of test data, but I would definitely suggest you guys to have an kind of idea. How do you input data for the testing? Where do you get test data? Have an answer for that. Do you guys have an answer for now, as of now? Or any, like, is it clear, the question?
From requirements?
No. How do you apply, like, let's say there's, as I was mentioning, there is an Excel, okay, let's say requirements. Product manager, they gave you like one Excel sheet with tons of like username, and then it says, we need to verify all these users are able to log in, and it needs to be able, they all are on a blacklist, let's say. They should not be able to check out, or they should not be able to log in or make a payment or something, let's say that. So how do you verify that all of this list? How do you add this in your framework? How do you verify? Let's say it's about 10,000 list.
We can write the methods in Java.
Okay, for 10,000, how do you input the data? That's a question.
Buffer stream, something reader. Stream reader.
But you're using Cucumber, right? And how do you, so you have to come up with a clear picture on, you're using Cucumber as well as Excel spreadsheet. You have an Excel or CSV data, let's say, and you're using Java. Okay, you will be definitely writing a Java code, but how do you integrate it together?
Is this where we're gonna learn Apache POI?
Yes, Apache POI comes here. So how and where you get the data, test data specifically, and how do you apply it in your framework? That should be a clear answer. You have to have a clear answer. Because I'm asking it, Indian people, they do use Excel a lot. Testers, they use only Excel. Like, it's crazy how they use it, and they are very, very good at it. So be prepared to kind of this kind of questions, and they will be asking it, definitely asking it. Okay. How's deployment development? So we've been going over again about the release process. So how this process deployment is done. who does it? Is it automated? Who automates it? Deployment? What is the tool stack and procedure high level? So this is the question that I've been always asking you guys during the interviews. But before, like, how, if you are part of the deployment, have you ever done it? But who does it? So I think if you have a clear kind of answer for this, it will be great. And I totally understand that you might say that, oh no, I'm not a part of this team. There's an UAT environment where people does the testing, and then there is a deployment that's done. But one thing to note is if you are only one QA, and if you're only one QA automation engineer, I think you should know exactly how the release process is done in your current project, because automation engineers and QA, only one QA usually involved in the deployment process because there are no one else, right? So if you are saying that, please be ready and have a clear picture on that. Any questions on this?
Yes. Hi, Rita. I have a question here.
Yes.
I get some confused when you asked me last time. So we have a dev environment, QA environment, and staging, and UAT and prod, right? And the performance testing, it's on UAT, should be, right?
Up to you.
Or it could be on different environment.
Why do you think it should be in UAT?
You said like if you don't have a UAT, so it's gonna be performed on the QA. If you have to sign out, and then the other team will be signing, and
No, it wasn't related to performance, I think, but it was about the regression, right? I think so. Because let's say regression, you were saying on stage, and I think so what as I remember, I'm not sure if I'm not right, but you were saying that smoke test and regression test, both of them done in I think
it was
UAT or something. Right? Yes, integration. I really don't remember, but exactly, clear up. You do have different environments, and different testing needs to be done in different environments, right? You don't want to mix everything up. So QA environment, if you have a QA environment, that's good. If it's a stable, you run your sanity on, you run your smoke and regression in there, you sign off, and it moves to the stage where, again, it might be a performance testing, or I'm not sure if you want to run another regression in the staging environment, that's fine. But if you usually, it will be multi-layer different environments where all testing needs to be done in order to make sure that all a feature, new feature is not breaking the existing feature. So your question is, what is the confusion for you right now? I just want to understand, like
UAT and like a QA environment. It both should be there or just one?
It can be both. If team can afford it, yes, why not?
Okay, got it.
It depends on the team's budget, but it needs to have QA environment, definitely. It needs to have a stage environment, yes, in the UAT environment and prod environment. But team might not have a budget, which is why they might be stage and UAT might be together, and they will just call it stage.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yes, good. Deployment process, yes, definitely have how process deployment is done and who performs it if you're part of it. I think most of you are saying that UAT is someone else and I am not part of this team, but I think it will be good if you guys say I'm part of it. That will kind of give extra point for you. That will give you a good experience. But in order to say that, I don't know what needs to be improved. So let me know if you're having a struggle to say it, and what exactly you're not confident, and what is the question you cannot answer for that. Okay. I think, do you have access to prod servers? Do you support deployments? How it's done? I think this is the same. is if team follow BDD or TDD or hybrid. It can be hybrid, but not TDD for sure. But BDD, most maybe, but it should be probably, it will be hybrid most of the time. Do you support deployments? I think it's part of this ticket. And do you have access to prod servers? How would you answer, guys, for this one? Any questions? Any answers for this? Timur, what would you answer for this? Do you have access to prod server? Are you here, Timur?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yes.
I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. Really not sure.
Okay. You have only read access. Okay. Do you have access to prod servers? You can say yes. If you are saying yes, you have only read access. If you are saying no, then you're definitely not part of the the deployment team, deployment validator, because you cannot validate on the prod. Okay. Is it clear?
Yeah, this is clear. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yes, only, but it needs to be only read access. No should be you are not part of the deployment.
Can you please tell like more about where we have access and where we're not?
Yes. So access QA should have, right? Where do you think, Timur, you have an access based on your current knowledge?
That's why I'm asking, because
what do you think based on what you have access to? Which environment you have access?
I definitely have for QA environment. I definitely
Yes.
have the staging UI. For prod, I have only read access, as we mentioned.
Dev environment.
UAT.
Okay. So this is the environments, right? What we have usually. Let's do it this way. Dev QA stage, and this is gonna be moved to last one. Prod. Okay, dev environment QA. Does it QA have a read or write access?
Both.
Do you think so?
No, for
No.
dev, I'm sorry, I thought about QA. Dev, I think we don't have access, no? Or we do?
You might have read access if you're doing gray box testing.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Read access if you are doing.
Rita?
Yes.
This means like we can just see the documentation.
You can read the code, right? What developers are writing, but you're not able to write a code in there or push your code or do any changes to that. You are able to only read it.
Got it.
Okay. So read access if you're doing a gray box testing, or it should be like just you should have a read access. If you are together, if you are working in an agile team as well. Okay.
Otherwise, we don't have access, right?
If you are working in a like team where, let's say you are working, your developers teams are offshore somewhere, you definitely might have not access to that. You might only have a couple, like the QA environment where you have all the updates coming, and then that's it. You might not have access to the developers because you don't see them.
In that case, you make like the black box testing, or how it works?
Yes, it will be black box testing. Gray box testing and white box testing here, if you're doing gray box, and let me do it white box. But white box usually it's not for you. It's usually gray box for QA. Okay, is it clear?
It's kind of, but I want to just clarify because we started learning Git, and I just want to make sure I'm understanding So when I have only read access, can I like git clone the code or
Yes, you can clone
I
it.
cannot
You
commit?
No, you cannot commit.
Okay.
You can clone it, you can review it, you can git pull probably, because you want to see new updates, but that's it. You won't be able to git add, git commit, git push. You cannot do it. Git pull
Okay, got it.
requests, you cannot do it. Okay.
Mhm.
QA environment, you have read and write access, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Definitely.
Stage.
I think both. Maybe mistaking, I don't know, but I think you should be able to write some tests now.
Because let's say that if you are doing regression testing stage, you might you usually how it works. QA, if you have a QA environment, this is stable, very good environment where you do all your testing, meaning smoke testing and regression testing. On the stage environment, you might have only read access. But if QA is not stable and you have to perform your regression testing in the stage environment, then you have a read access as well. It all depends on, it might be confusing for me right now saying it all depends, but let's consider this way. QA might have in the background one database specifically for you, right? We are talking about read and write access to the database. So if you have a separate database in the QA, you definitely have a read and write access for you specifically. But on stage, it might be like two databases, but it might be used by many different people, which is why you might have only read access.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but most of the time, beside all of this, beside the QA environment, you have only read access. Okay, most of the time. And if you need a write access, you need to have a certain why do you need the write access? In that, you cannot just have a write access easily. You need to get multiple different level of permission from tech lead and from some security level, and then you might get given a write access. But usually, just from from my knowledge, from my experience, you have read and write access on QA environment, and the rest of them have only read access.
Okay, now it's more clear. Yeah, thank you.
Is this clear? Perfect. Any other questions, guys? I think we did went over this one, my project. And about framework, any questions on the framework? Any questions? No questions?
You basically said it takes you 1 week to implement the framework and some user stories they provide you?
It was for Python. It was because I told them that I don't know Python. They gave me 1 week.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but if you know it, they might give about 2 days or 3 days if they want a framework from you. But depending on the position, depending on the team, usually, they all send you different kind of tests requirements. And as well as, you will be getting a lot of technical challenges, meaning that you'll be given certain time, 1 day or 24 hours. You might have 8 hours or 6 hours to finish some sort of technical challenges in order to be interviewed as well in the beginning. So kind of multiple different type of interviews. We will go over all type of interviews next time. And I think maybe you'll be finishing up. I'm not sure if you will be going over any API, but I think you'll be doing some MySQL test learning. So we might go over on that as well if you guys have question on MySQL side. Okay.
Sure.
Good. Any other question? I'll share with you guys all of this node right now. I'll just fix it a little bit on the pages and the folders, and then I'll share with you all this node for you.
So the best practice say that we're not gonna mix the API, I mean like the UI and the database how we call it.
Unless it's required by the team that they want end-to-end testing, it's better not to not to mix it. Unless they want it specifically end-to-end testing, then definitely they want you have to create a framework that will be integrated UI, API, and database. But if not, I would definitely suggest just to use separate one, because it is the purpose. Why? And they might ask why you choose the separate, because we want the API to, because we didn't need an end-to-end, and we wanted just API to be running fast. API usually runs faster, and we can finish the regression more faster, which is why we decided to make it separately. Clear answer, right?
Yeah,
So
clear. So if they ask you what the project you're working in, can you tell like I'm working like on both on UI and
API?
Yeah,
Definitely. Absolutely, that would be even better. Most people usually does that. They always work on UI and API.
what if only one of those?
That can be case too. Then the framework itself, the application itself are pretty huge.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Clear? Right, guys, I'm gonna stop sharing here, and I'll share this node after I fix I'll just update the node, and then I'll share it with you. Also, I wanted to note, I think, a couple of things. I did ask a couple questions from Adina regarding the last time question, interview, resume, things. So the question was about, first thing is, I remember one of you guys asked will DevX support you background check after first job interview, like finding first job, right? That was one first question. And second one was, will there be any members who will be helping the students during the technical interviews? So I got the answers from Adina actually, and then I just want to let you guys know what was the response. So for the first question, school will cover the first background check, and after the next offer, they need to pay $1,000 for each background check. That was their response. And another one is for the technical interview questions, will there be any help? So I was told that no one will be from the mentors or instructors help during the interview, but they will be giving a mentoring once a week as a class ends, I think, after the class ends for 2 months after graduation. So where you can, if you have any struggles, questions during interview, you can direct them to them, and then they will be helping you for the answer with the answers. So, and if there, another thing is, if any of you students having an like, if you guys want to put different company, specific company in your resume, also if you want to put different different country from out of country, maybe the company names, please, I'm going to share with you guys the email address where you have to kind of write exactly what company you want and why you want it, but you can just explain to them, and then I think they should be good. Is that clear?
And if we don't know like what company they're gonna provide it by default?
So as I mentioned last time, right? By the 1st of April, you have to finish your resume and send also domains that you want by the order, what kind of domain you want in the company. And if you want specific company, then I will let you guys know the email. I will share with you guys the email address where you have to share which company exactly you want and why you want it. Email it to them. But by default, yes, they by domain you provided, they will be providing the company names themselves.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good. That is the answers I have. And if you guys have any other questions, please feel free. I know I did receive a couple emails and a couple different notes that I need to review. I'll review it, and by the end of today, I'm hoping you will get all the feedbacks. Okay.
Excuse me, Rita, can I
Yes.
ask you one last question, probably because I'm not sure how to answer. What is your approach when you have a high priority realized to be delivered in a very short time?
What is my approach for the high priority test case or issue,
Yeah.
right? For the high priority issue, I'll have to take that first, and that is a high priority. if that is a high priority, if I'm doing in, let's say if I'm working on something right now, which is a not like a medium or like, I don't know, it's not a critical priority, but I got a ticket that will be saying, okay, this needs to be tested immediately because this is something important and it is a product issue, it is a critical, then definitely not only me, all development team will be working on that. And until we finish fixes, we won't be doing anything else. But if it's in a very short time, I'm sorry, but it is, I try my best to finish it on time, but usually there is no time limit depending on like, I think this needs more like kind of clarification why it has very short time. Like if it's a high priority, it should have been given earlier, right? But if it's a prod issue, then yes, definitely we will have to come up with some sort of solution within that time limit.
How you put prioritize during consistent answer? How you put prioritize when, for example, all right, guys, that's test cases we put to next sprint, and that test cases we will work 24 hours just to finish it.
I'm trying to understand. You're saying how I prioritize the test cases, is that right?
Yeah, that if you just can handle it before release and once you just skip it, who decided? It's product owner decide?
So the priority is usually you get the requirement, right? Based on the ticket. And if it's a critical or if it's a high priority, definitely the priority of the ticket will go critical. And that is automatically when you're writing the test cases. But there might be cases that is not high priority. As I mentioned, I usually send it, whenever I write test cases, I usually forward it to product managers because I don't have BA or I don't have any lead. I just send them and I ask them to review if I'm covering all scope and making sure that I'm not missing anything, as well as check the priority of the test cases. And they usually have to review it.
Thank you, Rita.
Rita, I have a question. Sorry.
Yes.
If let's say if I work here 2 years with my like let's say 4 years of experience, 6 years of experience in my resume, and then I decide to move to, let's say, Canada or UK or any other country, is it so they are going to check my experience somewhat, right there? So I'll need to pay like $1,000 to school, right? Or how's it? Do you know this scenario?
I'm trying to kind of understand your scenario.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
because
You got a job here. You worked for 2 years in the US, right?
yeah, kind of.
Clear, done.
And another question is, yeah, like if I put like 4 years of experience, how is it possible if I came here for the first time in my life, like 3 years ago? Like it's gonna be 3 years in 2 months.
Okay, then that's
time.
what's your experience, but your 1 year will be from different country then.
Yeah, so like I worked remotely, and okay, so
Yes.
it is possible.
Yes, that is possible, and I know a person who did it that way.
So I just okay, nice.
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, I mean that's about it then.
Yeah, but I think the confusion about was 2 years you're working here and you're moving to a different country.
Yeah, what about that? Like
So if you want to put, depending on how do you want to apply to a job in different country, do you want to apply it to including the US experience, like previously all 6 years experience or only last 2 year experience? If you want to put only last 2 years experience in your resume while applying a job in Canada or in Europe, and then you really don't have to even contact DevX, right? You can just give the job. That's it. Clear, done.
Okay.
So depends on your situation, but yeah, depending on if you need them, you have to contact DevX. If you don't need it, you don't have to pay. So
But is it like because let's say if I apply for visa in another country, right, working visa, they need some experience, right? They usually ask for some years of experience for a visa, right? Is it
And
gonna work, or am I gonna go to prison?
I'm not sure. I do not have an experience and I cannot respond to that probably because it depends on how many years again you want to put. If you want to put real experience when you're applying for a visa, because that is something very important, right?
But I'm sure that the staffing company that Askar uses as a, like that's what we gotta put in our resume.
Yes.
They know the answer for that. And
Definitely, which is what I'm gonna share your email, and then you can definitely have all the scenarios to them, and then they should be responding to you. Because, be honest, I might say something right now based on what my knowledge, but it might not be right.
cool.
So yeah.
Understood.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, guys, first thing I will be sharing with you GoodNote, and the second one I will be sharing with you email address where you can forward all the questions related to the resume, and if you want something unique, different thing based on from what we discussed.
Rita?
Yes.
Can I have one last question, please? I'm not really sure about the background that you mentioned. Is that the DevX school? In what form is it gonna be? Or I know Andrei mentioned the staffing company, so I'm not really following that. How it works.
You don't know anything about background check, or how do you know? Do you remember last time when we discussed about how the background check will go?
Yeah, I know that, but I'm not really sure why, like how DevX is involved in that.
So DevX will be, because they are working with a different, I think, their company. They have an accountant, they have an HR who will be providing you background check.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So you will be getting HR name, you'll be getting phone number, email address, I think, based on what I know. I'm not sure if they have changed this policy yet, but when you go to the market and when you get an offer letter, you have to provide all the details, right, on the paper, and then you will be reaching out to the email address and they will be giving you all the background check details, like which is what details you have to provide, addresses, email, phone number, fax, HR, who's the person's name they can reach out to. All of this will be provided once you get to that point when you have to do the background check. Okay. All right, guys, let me stop sharing. And if you guys have any questions, please ping me. And I'm hoping everyone will have a great weekend. Next topic will be, as I mentioned, we'll be talking about interview types and how to handle the interviews. First step, second, and third rounds. Okay.
Thank you, Rita. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.